So right now, we've got some prices kind of going on. A lot of people heard of inflation and this, that, and the other. And the one thing that, I've been kind of noticing for quite some time is really, unless we have, some sort of disease or whatever going through, the pork market or whatever, the pork prices really have stayed pretty low. Even though they've come up some, don't get me wrong, that they've pretty much stayed pretty low compared to what beef is. If you look at these two charts I have here, on the right side is actually the feeder cattle. On the left side, you actually have lean hogs, and you can kind of see if you can kind of go back on lean hogs, it's been bouncing literally in a sideways between about 75 and 85 cents a pound. And now here we are up here at about $1.12 a pound. Um, Feeders, on the other hand, have just been in a kind of a tear for a year or so. We were, just down there right around $2, and they got up to around 230, 250 for a while. And really, ever since the beginning of the year, they've just kind of been going almost straight up. Right now, we're above $3 per pound. And if you just kind of put that in perspective just a little bit here, if you go back to what is that, the 2nd of February, not February, April, yeah, Liberation Day, whatever they call that thing. Um, Everything was, had a big kind of a little bit of a dump down a little bit there. But we were right around 264, 263, something like that. Here we are up here at 303. And so you're really controlling 50,000 pounds on live cattle. That's a $20,000 per contract increase. Now you're controlling about 25, 30 head, right? So you're really increasing per cow a whole lot more, and that's just at the feeder price. Now it has to go and get processed, has to get boxed, it has to get shipped out, it has to go to the store, and then you get to put your little grubby hands on it and buy it and then grill it up or whatever you want to do with it. So you're talking about a huge increase, and that's just from April 2nd. Here, pigs are, and they've been kind of chilling out a little bit, but all of a sudden, they start talking about, all the viruses and everything like that the pig herds are having, and all of a sudden we get a jump up, and they're still talking about that because right now, the farmers that are out there, they're having a really hard time saying, well, I can test for this one virus or I can test for this one disease. But they have no way of saying, okay, well, I tested for it, it doesn't have it, but yet my pigs are dying. And not only that, but when you look at the piglet, I'll put it that way, mortality rate has actually been going up quite a bit. And so we're actually getting fewer hogs to slaughter weight as we used to be. So with the decrease in herds that way, with all the diseases, they're trying now to figure out how to be able to test for them on a multiple disease basis as opposed to a one disease basis, and that's what the big talk is right now. And of course, with all that happening, everybody's scared to death that we're not going to have any pigs, so they just kind of gap things up here a little bit, and off we go. So it wouldn't surprise me that we don't hit about 115, 117 and have a nice little backup, but it might not, depending on how the herds are going to go and everything like that. And as far as cattle, it's going to be the same in and same out. Right now, if you look at the crop progress report that came out yesterday, we're still having a hard time getting wheat out of, you know, Kansas and Oklahoma and stuff like that. We're below, those expectations that were, or below average, I'll put it that way. And so they're having a hard time getting the winter wheat out of the field. Right now, it's harvest time here, June into July. Of course, they'll harvest that all the way up and through, August, depending on where they have the wheat going up further north throughout the plains. They've had so much rain and everything like that, they just can't get in the field and get it out, which one way is a good thing because they've needed the rain. They've been kind of drought ridden over there for quite a while, so that's a good thing. Yet they still need to get their crop out of the field. So, and now they're trying to, the USDA has come out with their new ethanol projections and stuff like that. And now on the soybean side of things, they need a whole lot more, soybean oil. Of course, they have to get that from the soybean crush, and of course, you have to get that from soybeans. And so now there's a huge demand on that. Well, you've seen soybean oil just all of a sudden spike up as well. I mean, we just got all kinds of steps. Here, ZL. There we go. Ah, I didn't get the N out of it. Sorry, my fault. There we go. And with that report that came out, you kind of see here, this is soybean oil. It jumped up big time. Just because now there's going to be a whole lot more demand on soybean oil. And so, I mean, it is just the way it is, I guess. And so we're going to see higher prices in the grocery stores on all kinds of meats and all kinds of things. And as I was talking about earlier with the I guess well on Tuesday we were talking about the price of metals and stuff like that. The price of canned goods is going to go up as well, even though what's in the can might not. So I think we still have inflation out there that they're not talking about anywhere. They're saying inflation's coming down. I'm going to have to say liar, liar, pants on fire on that one because we're going to see higher prices, period. There it is. Another thing that we've heard through the news is good old Israel and Iran bombing the heck out of each other. And actually, as of yesterday, um, Iran actually sounded like they were starting to kind of raise a little white flag saying, hey, 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 we're getting too beat up here. Don't, chill out a second here. Which was kind of cool when you saw that or when we heard that. Um, we don't want this chart. I'll just show you on a different way here. Ding. Uh, here we go. Let's just go intraday. That might be easier. When we heard that, nah, probably not. We were having this nice big rally in here because of that war. They had a big sell off yesterday. That's that big red bar when they came out and said, "Hey, we don't want to, chill things out and let's not hit anybody's pipelines and all this stuff." So crude oil sold back off. It was up at $77. It dropped back down to below $70. And then today it's come out, well, we know where you live basically, and we're gonna no take you out unless you just give us a full surrender. That's basically what Trump, or I think I saw that on Twitter earlier. And so now crude oil has jumped back up because, well, maybe the war is not done yet between those two, and we're going to see more and more of this. I know just listening to various things on the web, it sounded like Israel was pretty much packed in for 2 weeks of this standoff between Israel and Iran. I don't know how far after that it goes, but I think everybody wants it pretty much to be short-lived and everything. So I think when we start looking at the energy prices, kind of keep your eye on them just because they're going to tell you if it's kind of a longer stance or not. They start hitting the pipelines in Iran, it's going to hurt China pretty bad if that happens, um, just because they buy a lot of their oil. And so, and of course, they're built on oil there in Iran. Otherwise, it's just a desert for the most part. And so it's going to hurt them pretty bad. And they've been, being pretty good about not hitting their infrastructure stuff just because people live there. They got to live. But it might get to that eventually. So, kind of keep your eye on good old crude. It'll let you know if it's still going on or if it's not. Today we've got a nice little update just because it seems to be rolling right along and keep going. And there it is. Um, Another thing that's been kind of in the news um, is good old Amazon and Walmart are thinking about using their own stable coin at their stores. And I got to thinking, wow, that's kind of interesting. And if you look at, let me get rid of this and just kind of blow this one chart up here. Um, Good old Visa got a hold of that news, and of course they gapped down. Um, and basically, what stablecoin is, unlike Bitcoin and Dogecoin and all that other stuff, it's actually tied to an asset. So a stable coin is a stable currency, a cryptocurrency, actually tied to like gold or silver or the dollar or whatever it may be they want to tie it to. But at least it's halfway stable. So people can use that and go from there. And they're really doing this because of all the transaction costs between Amazon and Walmart. I mean, you're talking about probably, I don't know how many millions of dollars in transaction fees they do a month, just because everybody, I mean, costs 20 cents, it costs 20 cents to use a card. If it costs, $200, you're using a card. So, and those card fees are what make all the banks and everything like that money. And so they're thinking about going around them and just using the blockchain to take care of all that. The thing is you're still going to have to convert cash into those things to use them, right? So you're going to be using a card to do that, and you still get the transaction fees. That's what I'm trying to figure out. But right now, if they do start doing that, I think Visa is probably going to end up being one of the best shorts in the world. Um, if they start doing that, because if Amazon and Walmart start doing it, maybe probably Target and who knows, Home Depot, Lowe's, all those places that have the huge transaction fees for all kinds of stuff. A lot of the retailers will probably get into that. And who knows, maybe the airlines get in. I mean, hotels, whatever. So it'd be really interesting to see how that pans out throughout the market, if they really want to start getting into that. But I think one, Visa is probably going to be a pretty decent short if they do that. But on the other hand, if you're looking for something to, be long, right now, oh, this is called RTX Corp. It's Raytheon. Raytheon makes all the missiles that they're putting on all the airplanes and stuff like that. And you can kind of see they've been jumping up pretty good here because, well, they got to make more to send more over there. So they're going to have more contracts to do all that. And there it is. So I think this one's probably, as long as there is unrest over there, it's probably going to be a good one to have on, calls on or whatever you like to do. But Raytheon's looking pretty good. And of course, Visa, I think, on the longer term side, depending on what Walmart and Amazon do and stuff like that, and even MasterCard, probably all going to be a pretty good short on those if they start going around the banks and not using those cards. So, but I think that's kind of a neat little thing. One other thing, just kind of throw this out there. Um, if you were around at the beginning of May, in here, I was talking about, buying some of this URA. It was right around 26, 27 bucks. It was back down in here. And you can kind of see we've shot up to, well, 38.55. We pulled back to 37.50 right now. But you're up about 40% on that. And I think this is your global uranium. I think it's going to continue to move up on a longer term basis, but it's already perking up pretty well. It's gone from 19 and a half there in April all the way up to 38 bucks. So gone up 100%, right? So we'll see if it wants to continue to move on and kind of go from there. But um, that's the current news around Geof's world at this point in time. And I think we're still going to be seeing a lot of things, going forward. I mean, they said they had all these trade deals done. Uh, I haven't seen any in a couple, 3 weeks, at least. Trump said he had one done yesterday with England or something like that. They've got everything signed. I don't know if that's official or not, but I guess if they start getting those things out, that'll help stabilize the market a little bit. It's been kind of choppy. This is also rollover week. We've gone from the June contract and the index futures over to the September contract. And so there's that little shakeup as well. Tomorrow is Fed Day. We get to hear what Powell has to say. I'll put it that way. Everybody knows he's not going to do anything with interest rates. He really can't. We still have inflation. So he either's got to raise them or leave them alone. And Trump doesn't want them raised. I don't think the market does either. So they're probably going to leave them alone. But, the question is now is what's he going to say about, the economy and all that good stuff. So it'd be really good to kind of see that. I'm kind of surprised that the market's kind of perked up a little bit here today, from the open at 9:30, just because we had retail sales that were well below expectations, and even the business inventories were down. Um, of course, they started off at the open moving down, and then they started moving down off of the news right after 10 o'clock, and now they've all kind of blown it off and kind of moved back up again. So I guess bad news is good news, and there it is. But if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see how Thursday comes along after the Fed and all that good stuff. And see what the more news that we get out of Israel and Iran and whoever else we can get our hands on. So, with that, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you Thursday.